Hello and welcome back to the channel Dinar Daily Buzz, where we break down critical financial movements and strategic economic signals shaping Iraq's monetary direction with a focus on clarity rather than sensationalism. Today's topic is not rooted in casual rumor, superficial chatter, or the recycled speculation that circulates endlessly across forums. Instead, it stems from a noticeably intense development that appears to be gaining momentum at a pace even seasoned observers say feels distinctly different from previous cycles of excitement. The source of the buzz is also markedly more serious, emerging from an internal observation shared by someone reportedly carrying substantial visibility into Iraq's banking and financial infrastructure. While it is essential to emphasize that no official institution has announced any confirmed policy change and nothing from the Central Bank of Iraq has been formally declared publicly, the level of activity being described has led some analysts and insiders to believe the country may be approaching an important monetary milestone. It is crucial, however, to maintain realistic expectations. This does not imply anyone should assume a revaluation tomorrow, nor does it justify attaching certainty to any specific timeline. What it does suggest is that something meaningful may be unfolding behind the scenes, and many who track these signals closely claim the current energy surrounding the situation feels unlike anything observed in earlier cycles of speculation or reform discussion. Over the past several weeks, multiple internal reports have described the Central Bank of Iraq accelerating a number of system upgrades that are typically associated with significant financial policy adjustments or modernization efforts undertaken by countries refining their monetary frameworks. These include updates to digital banking architecture, rigorous rounds of system testing, and technical calibration protocols involving infrastructure teams and commercial banks across the national network. Such activities, while not proof of an imminent revaluation or redenomination, nonetheless reflect serious reform efforts requiring extensive planning, technical expertise, and multi-level institutional coordination. These upgrades are not simple cosmetic improvements. They involve synchronized work across software providers, hardware vendors, cybersecurity teams, financial regulators, and private sector banks. They demand substantial financial investment, national-scale scheduling, and cooperation from dozens of operational departments. Movements of this magnitude rarely occur without a strategic objective guiding them, even if that objective is long-term modernization rather than an immediate rate change. Countries undertaking currency reform, whether structural, technological, or denominational, typically go through similar phases of preparation. Therefore, while it is premature to conclude that Iraq is on the verge of a major monetary shift, the observable pattern of activity aligns with steps usually seen when a nation is laying the groundwork for future financial transformation. This brings us to the discussion surrounding why some insiders believe the next 24 hours could be symbolically or operationally important, even if not definitive. It is vital to repeat that this is not a prediction of any sort, but rather an interpretation of unusual operational intensity reported within several Iraqi banking institutions. According to these descriptions, numerous bank teams have transitioned into extended hour or overnight operational modes, conducting validation tests across ATM networks, teller systems, back-end payment trails, and customer-facing digital platforms. Individuals familiar with prior cycles of banking updates in Iraq suggest that this current wave of activity appears far more coordinated, unified, and urgent than anything they recall witnessing previously. Even so, heightened urgency does not guarantee the arrival of a rate change or monetary restructuring within any particular window of time. Instead, it signals that the financial apparatus is preparing itself for something of significance, whether that something is a major reform rollout, a system-wide modernization update, or a step toward the long-discussed currency redenomination efforts. These operational indicators suggest preparation and synchronization on a scale that is difficult to dismiss, even if the final purpose of the preparations remains undisclosed. One of the most visible elements contributing to speculation is the nationwide deployment of new ATM machines featuring dual recognition capabilities. These advanced machines have begun appearing across major urban centers as well as remote rural regions, signaling a concerted national effort to modernize Iraq's cash handling infrastructure. Their design allows them to process existing high-denomination notes while also being fully compatible with potential lower-denomination bills typically discussed discussed in connection with Iraq's long-standing Delete the Zeros initiative. The sophistication of this equipment and the considerable cost of acquiring, installing and integrating it reinforces the idea that Iraq is not engaging in symbolic upgrades but rather undertaking serious preparation for long-term structural financial improvement. The implementation of such technology requires logistical planning, software integration, vendor coordination, personnel training and synchronization with central banking systems. You do not install an entirely new series of dual-currency ready ATM systems nationwide unless a broader financial modernization effort is included in the country's roadmap. Whether or not this directly precedes a revaluation or redenomination, it signals a serious commitment to improving Iraq's overall monetary ecosystem and creating infrastructure capable of supporting future policy decisions of varying scale. To understand the broader implications, it helps to revisit Iraq's Delete the Zeros initiative, a reform concept discussed for more than a decade that seeks to simplify the nation's currency structure without altering actual purchasing power. This type of redenomination is not unique to Iraq. Countries such as Turkey, Brazil and Romania have successfully carried out similar adjustments following inflationary periods where currency structures became cumbersome for accounting, pricing and public confidence. The intent behind Iraq's proposal has always been to enhance clarity in transactions, streamline accounting systems, reduce cash handling inefficiencies and modernize everyday financial interactions. Historically, nations preparing for such reforms undertake steps extremely similar to what we are now observing: ATM networks capable of handling multiple denominations, back-end banking systems updated to support restructured currency frameworks, enhanced digital infrastructures and synchronized banking operations that can transition smoothly if and when a redenomination or modernization program is launched. None of these actions guarantees activation of the policy in the near term, but the preparation itself matters. It signals that Iraq remains serious about long-term financial reform and is constructing the operational foundation required for future monetary evolution, whether that evolution occurs soon or unfolds gradually over years. Currency reform is as much about psychology as it is about economics, and this dual nature is often overlooked in public discussions about monetary modernization. High denomination notes tend to carry symbolic weight, projecting an image of instability or past inflationary pressure even when a nation's underlying economic fundamentals have begun to improve. When a country introduces simplified lower denomination notes, it sends a message that extends far beyond the banking sector. Citizens experience easier day-to-day transactions, more intuitive pricing in markets, and a sense of alignment with global financial norms. Investors interpret these changes as steps towards structural stability, increased predictability and greater transparency within the national monetary environment. A redenomination, if executed carefully and responsibly, can help reframe the psychological landscape of an economy that has long been associated with volatility, even if current indicators are trending in a more positive direction. While such reforms do not alter real purchasing power by themselves, they reshape public confidence, enhance institutional credibility and contribute to a broader modernization narrative. These reforms can ultimately mark a turning point, not because of immediate monetary transformation but because citizens and global observers alike begin to see a nation asserting control over its financial identity and presenting itself as a stable participant in international commerce. Returning to the ATM infrastructure, it becomes clear that these machines represent more than just advanced technical capabilities or upgraded hardware. They symbolize national inclusion, financial accessibility, and long-term planning at a scale that touches every Iraqi citizen regardless of geographic location or socio-economic status. For any large-scale monetary reform to succeed, whether it involves redenomination, modernization, or enhanced digital integration, every person must be able to interact with the updated system safely and without confusion. Dual recognition ATMs are crucial in this regard because they eliminate uncertainty during transitional phases by accepting both existing notes and any future simplified denominations. This ensures that individuals in remote villages, agricultural zones, busy marketplaces, and dense urban centers all have equal access to consistent financial tools from the very first day of implementation. Their deployment demonstrates an understanding that reform is not merely a technical exercise, it is a social commitment to stability, clarity, and national unity. Financial infrastructure touches daily life, and when reforms are supported by reliable user-friendly tools, citizens gain confidence in the process. That confidence becomes a stabilizing force, limiting panic behaviors and building trust in the institutions guiding national economic progress. Infrastructure is not just machinery, it is the foundation on which the public's sense of stability is built. The current growing sense of momentum appears to be driven by several tangible operational signals reported within Iraq's banking ecosystem, though none of these should be interpreted as confirmation of any specific policy activation or timeline. Nationwide ATM stress testing has reportedly moved into high-intensity phases, a process typically executed when institutions want to ensure system durability under unusually heavy transaction loads or transitional scenarios. Confidential internal bank meetings described as focusing on practical operational readiness rather than theoretical policy reviews add to the perception that financial institutions are aligning their internal structures more closely than in past cycles. Commercial branches are said to have received detailed procedural binders outlining how to manage potential post-reform processes, including customer communication, branch workflow adjustments, and cash handling protocols. Importantly, these indicators reflect preparation, not prediction. In earlier years, observers often noted that critical prerequisites for reform such as unified hardware, consistent legislation, integrated banking software, or a nationwide institutional synchronization remain incomplete or only partially implemented. Today, many of those bottlenecks appear less prominent and operational teams seem closer to final validation stages rather than early testing. This creates an atmosphere of readiness, though not certainty, and highlights the importance of distinguishing preparation from policy decisions that only official authorities can make. Additional operational indicators have surfaced through various internal channels, further strengthening the perception that Iraq is positioning itself for significant financial modernization regardless of exact timing. Domestic clearing trials reportedly conducted using placeholder rate structures are one such indicator. These tests help ensure that accounting systems, interbank settlements, and digital payment trails can accurately process transactions under varying formats. Retailers in several provinces are said to have updated enterprise pricing tables to simulate redenomination math for training and testing purposes, preparing staff to handle price conversion smoothly in any future transition. Government payroll systems have reportedly completed parallel simulations to verify that employee compensation can be calculated accurately under both current and hypothetical structures. Meanwhile, telecom providers have tested bandwidth capacity to ensure mobile banking platforms remain stable under potential surges in public usage. Even Interior Ministry units have reviewed updated cash handling security protocols, a step commonly undertaken during periods of heightened public financial engagement. While none of these preparations guarantee activation of a reform policy, together they present a coherent picture of technical readiness. The systems appear to be moving in coordinated steps, not isolated efforts, suggesting that the national infrastructure is maturing toward a state where large monetary changes can be executed smoothly if leadership determines the moment is appropriate. Taken together, these developments suggest not certainty but readiness and alignment across operational, technological, and infrastructural layers that positions Iraq to execute major monetary reform whenever its leadership decides conditions are appropriate. This readiness does not imply that activation will occur tomorrow, nor does it confirm that any particular form of reform such as a redenomination or rate shift is imminent. What it means is that the foundational pieces required for such a transition are increasingly in place, and that Iraq is approaching a point where implementation can be accomplished efficiently and with minimized disruption. In this environment, misinformation naturally spreads quickly, especially as public interest grows. To protect themselves, citizens should rely strictly on verified and authoritative sources. Official Central Bank of Iraq announcements recognized financial media and analysts who reference transparent, traceable documents rather than screenshots, rumors, or recycled forum conversations. Families should take simple precautionary steps: communicate clearly, ignore any unsolicited messages promising special access to preferential rates, and avoid anyone requesting upfront payment, log-in credentials, or sensitive financial information. No legitimate institution will ever contact citizens in this manner during any economic transition. Staying patient, informed, and vigilant is the safest and most responsible approach for all Iraqis. Patience and vigilance are especially important because nationwide financial transitions often involve small adjustments, recalibrations, or short delays as systems align and technical teams verify stability. Many countries that have undergone modernization or redenomination have experienced similar phases, and successful outcomes depended heavily on the public's ability to remain calm and avoid impulsive decisions driven by unverified claims. ATM networks, digital banking platforms, branch operations, and merchant systems all require coordinated stability, and unnecessary panic withdrawals or large-scale cash disruptions can interfere with that process. For this reason, it is wise for citizens to avoid reacting emotionally to rumors or speculative social media posts, taking a measured approach, keeping personal banking information up to date, monitoring official channels, and preparing communication plans to ensure your household receives accurate information contributes to national stability and smooth operations. Iraq's modernization push is a long-term effort that benefits greatly from a calm and informed public. The more disciplined citizens remain in evaluating claims, the more resilient the financial environment becomes during transitional periods or periods of heightened public interest. Returning to the ATM infrastructure, it becomes clear that these machines represent more than just advanced technical capabilities or upgraded hardware. They symbolize national inclusion, financial accessibility, and long-term planning at a scale that touches every Iraqi citizen regardless of geographic location or socio-economic status. For any large-scale monetary reform to succeed, whether it involves redenomination, modernization, or enhanced digital integration, every person must be able to interact with the updated system safely and without confusion. Dual recognition ATMs are crucial in this regard because they eliminate uncertainty during transitional phases by accepting both existing notes and any future simplified denominations. This ensures that individuals in remote villages, agricultural zones, busy marketplaces, and dense urban centers all have equal access to consistent financial tools from the very first day of implementation. Their deployment demonstrates an understanding that reform is not merely a technical exercise, it is a social commitment to stability, clarity, and national unity. Financial infrastructure touches daily life, and when reforms are supported by reliable, user-friendly tools, citizens gain confidence in the process. That confidence becomes a stabilizing force, limiting panic behaviors and building trust in the institutions guiding national economic progress. Infrastructure is not just machinery, it is the foundation on which the public's sense of stability is built. The current growing sense of momentum appears to be driven by several tangible operational signals reported within Iraq's banking ecosystem, though none of these should be interpreted as confirmation of any specific policy activation or timeline. Nationwide ATM stress testing has reportedly moved into high-intensity phases, a process typically executed when institutions want to ensure system durability under unusually heavy transaction loads or transitional scenarios. Confidential internal bank meetings described as focusing on practical operational readiness rather than theoretical policy reviews add to the perception that financial institutions are aligning their internal structures more closely than in past cycles. Commercial branches are said to have received detailed procedural binders outlining how to manage potential post-reform processes, including customer communication, branch workflow adjustments, and cash handling protocols. Importantly, these indicators reflect preparation, not prediction. In earlier years, observers often noted that critical prerequisites for reform such as unified hardware, consistent legislation, integrated banking software, or a nationwide institutional synchronization remain incomplete or only partially implemented. Today, many of those bottlenecks appear less prominent and operational teams seem closer to final validation stages rather than early testing. This creates an atmosphere of readiness, though not certainty, and highlights the importance of distinguishing preparation from policy decisions that only official authorities can make. The convergence of infrastructure upgrades, documented modernization efforts, and observable preparatory activities across multiple institutions signals unmistakable progress in Iraq's broader financial evolution. The country has invested heavily in dual-currency capable ATM systems, integrated software platforms, improved cybersecurity frameworks, and operational planning structures that support coordinated nationwide action. These are not the kinds of investments made lightly, nor are they typically undertaken unless meaningful reform is at least a serious consideration within national planning strategies. While only the Central Bank of Iraq and the country's leadership know the precise timeline for any policy activation, it would be unreasonable to assume that such a large modernization effort would be abandoned without eventual implementation. Analysts therefore view the current moment not in terms of whether reform will occur but rather when it will occur, acknowledging that when remains unknown and fully dependent on official authority. For now, the best course for citizens is to remain attentive to verified sources, ensure personal records are accurate, and stay connected to reliable communication channels. Iraq is entering what appears to be a pivotal phase in its economic development, not solely because of potential exchange rate implications but because of the broader transformation of its financial infrastructure and national monetary identity. Remaining alert, informed, and grounded in fact is the most beneficial posture for every household. Disclaimer: the information provided in this content is for general informational and educational purposes only. It does not constitute financial advice, investment advice, legal guidance, or any form of professional recommendation. Discussions related to currency reform, redenomination, exchange rates, or monetary policy reflect analysis, opinion, and publicly available information. They should not be interpreted as predictions, guarantees, or confirmation of any future financial events. Only the Central Bank of Iraq and official government institutions can announce or implement changes to monetary policy. Viewers and readers should rely solely on verified authoritative sources for official updates. No part of this material should be used to make financial decisions or speculative investments. Always consult a qualified financial professional before making any financial choices. The author assumes no responsibility for actions taken based on the information presented. The service provides an opportunity to voice any of your texts, including articles, reports, separate chapters, or entire book in a sequence, no more than 30,000 characters at a time. The name of the MP3 file is formed from the first 20 characters of the text. Save the generated MP3 file to your device for storing and future use offline. Please select language and voice. Adjustable speed, pitch, and pauses between sentences and paragraphs. Replace this text with yours.